Happy Sunday everyone, and welcome to a day in the life vlog kind of thing. Well, it's mostly going to be a reading vlog, but you'll have seen that I've already been out. Well, I've already been to the supermarket this morning. I have had breakfast and I have also done some prep for a workshop that I'm leading on Tuesday, and that was 85 slides worth of writing notes. So my hand is very sore at the moment, but that's okay because I wanted to wrap my head around that today, and I'll go back over it tomorrow night just as the notes, because I'll be speaking for like, what time do I start? 11:30 to 1:15 is how long I will be talking at people about vocabulary and spelling. So I just wanted to mentally prepare myself for that, and I prefer to do it a day or two beforehand and then just sort of read over my notes the night before, and then again I read over them. Usually I get an Uber into the place where I present, so I usually just read over them then. That's how I work because my brain does not hold information in my head for extensive periods of time, so memorizing stuff, it doesn't work for me. But anyway, that has been my morning so far. It is currently 10:30, so it's been a very productive morning. I've got to put away some laundry and maybe do another load of laundry at some point. However, the bulk of today is just going to be reading. That's what my plan has been, and I was kind of stuck because I wasn't sure what video was going to go out this week, and I figured, okay, maybe I'll do a vlog, maybe I'll do another try a chapter or something like that. I didn't really want to do another try a chapter. I wanted to try and get through a couple of different things, I suppose, today. So I'm currently in the middle of listening to Collide by Bal Khabra, which is a college hockey romance, and I'm about 50% of the way into the book. It's fine. Like, it's a college hockey romance, which are never top of my list, but it's definitely one of the better ones I've probably read. So I'm listening to that on, I've got it out on Libby. But then yesterday there was an email from Evie Mitchell, who was just part of her newsletter, and she'd sent out a couple of holiday themed novellas that she really enjoyed, and two of them I hadn't read yet, so I downloaded those. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a read like Evie Mitchell, except I only had 2 out of the 3 that I hadn't read. The third one I had. So then I was just doing some searching, and I found another couple of really short holiday themed novellas, which I thought might be fun to explore because I haven't heard anyone talk about them. So I have a list of 5 novellas, and then I have a few other bits and pieces to do. I'm also thinking I might actually get a chance to film my 2025 spreadsheet video today. Spoiler alert, I did not do that. If I don't do it today, that's fine. I'm still kind of playing around with a couple of things on my spreadsheet. Yeah, and then I've also got a stack of reviews to do for Instagram. Like I've got like, how many? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 11 days straight of Kidlit Joy reviews. So by the time you see this, I will be mostly through that. They'll mostly be published. They're already edited and they're already uploaded to YouTube. However, I still have to write the Instagram reviews for them. Would it have been smarter for me to review things at the same time? Yes, but I'd still have the same problem with Instagram, in that I'd still have to write the reviews. So I do this to myself. Anyway, I've been rambling for a lot. I think I'm going to just take a break because my wrist is really sore. And I'm going to read the first novella that I had on my list, which I've got to open it up because I can't remember who the author is, but it's called Lights Out, and this was one of the ones that Evie Mitchell recommended. Hi Evie, thanks for influencing my reading. I'll have to message her and tell her that that's what happened. The other thing I could do is I started reading a really great romantic suspense series yesterday, and I have the next 2 books, so that could also happen. We'll see. I legitimately don't know how today is going to go. After about 10 minutes of technical difficulties on multiple devices, the first book that I'm going to read is Lights Out by Jodie, Beau, and this one is a 45-page novella. It is a contemporary Halloween romance between a single mum and a single dad. I think they have 2 year 2 second grade children, and it's basically a second chance because they had a very brief moment in high school, and now it's 15 years later, and there's a Halloween scavenger hunt and some not so great parents of other kids involved, I believe. So I'm just gonna dive into this 45-page story and I'll let you know how I go. So I just finished Lights Out, and the kids in this are first graders. I don't know why I said second grade. Anyway, it is, as I just described to Heather, not quite open door, almost, but not quite. Single parents, a school scavenger hunt for Halloween, mean mums, and I wish I could say that that representation was not authentic, but those people exist. And it was kind of adorable because Ben and Cora had a brief moment in high school where they made it out, and then nothing ever happened of it, and then they by chance meet again 15 years later when their kids are in the same class. Ben is divorced, Cora's husband has died 2 years previously in a workplace accident, and Cora is a very quiet, reserved kind of character, and she just kind of puts up with the mean mums and just does her own thing because she's trying to get to the point where she doesn't really care. Ben also notices the mean mums and is really off-put by them. Anyway, there are some events happening during the scavenger hunt, and anyway, Ben reveals that he actually does remember Cora and that he's always liked her, and then he's never really made a move before now because while he is divorced, he's also aware that she has baggage because her husband died and she was in love with him, right? Anyway, in 45 pages, you kind of get to a point where it's just them, you know, going on a date and just falling for one another, and then the epilogue is, you know, a year later and whatever. But you know, is it a new all-time favorite? No. But is it a good time and just sweet? Yes it was, because they're just two adorable characters. I might try one more, and I think I might go with the other recommendation from Evie, which was a book called Pumpkin, but I've just got to remember who that one was by because I wrote down the title but not the author's name. Why would I do something responsible like that? Pumpkin is by Megan Wade. So this one is a Thanksgiving romance and a best friend's brother trope, I think. This one is insta love and whatever, and that's totally fine. Every now and then I can handle that. I'll let you know how this one goes when I read it. So that was exactly as over the top as you would expect it to be, and on top of that, it is a 13-year age gap romance between them. She's 19 and he's 32, and it's bordering on not my favorite age gap, just because they've known each other for so long, because he is her best friend's brother and he basically raised his sister after their parents died, and so Finn has known Petra basically her entire life, but he does admit like he never really started looking at her differently until she was in her late teens, and even then he acknowledges that that is creepy, but that's what it is. So it is very much insta lust, over the top, dramatic, and just full of a lot of steamy scenes. So if that's what you're interested in, Pumpkin by Megan Wade will probably work for you. The next one I'm going to read is Midnight Mischief, which is by Lyla Andrews, which is a Halloween erotica novella. I'm going to eat something first because it's nearly 12 o'clock and I have half of a sandwich that I made last night for dinner that I didn't eat. So I'm probably going to eat that and maybe do some potatoes in the oven. So I might go do that now and then read some more. So I just finished Midnight Mischief by, oh God, Lyla Andrews, and this is another really short 45-page novella, and this one is more erotic than romance because it technically has an HFN kind of thing, or the promise of more, and I did look it up. There are 2 more books in the series that follow the same protagonists. So this is about Zoe, who is at her parents' Halloween party. They're quite wealthy, they throw big extravagant Halloween parties, and she ends up reluctantly going to this party for the first time in years, and while she's there she starts talking to this older guy. She's the youngest person there by, you know, a decade, and then she quickly realizes that it is one of her dad's best friends, and she hasn't seen him in like 10 years, and they've just had a conversation that would probably be considered by her parents to be wholly inappropriate, and then she asks Donovan to act on it. And this one is a primal play, bondage, degradation, there's some CNC stuff in it, breath play, there's some impact play. Basically he makes her run through the woods and he tries to catch her. For the most part I really enjoyed it. I'm not huge into reading about degradation kink in general, so it's not my favorite thing to see in books, but everything else was great, and probably one of those books that if you like Lee Jacko's series of holiday novellas, this is sort of up there on par with that kind of story, except that the next 2 books don't follow different couples, they follow the same couple. I think there is a Christmas one and then there is a spring break one, so that one was fun. The next book on my list is one called Be My Boo, and can't see who the author is, so give me a moment. So this one is by Mischa Crews, a sweetly spooky Halloween romance novella. All right, so, well, there's an author's note at least. It says, a cute romantic couple, a big house full of secrets, the complexities of family relations, both blood-related and found family. Why isn't the summary coming up? All right, so this one is a bit longer. It's 144 pages long. Oh, okay. So this one says, stuck together with a Sweeney firefighter in a haunted house. Will this make up for the fact that I still can't watch season 8 of 911 and they just had their Halloween episode? I don't know. Okay, it is closed door. That's fine. I mean, the last one I read was very much not closed door, so we're getting variety in this vlog. I'm going to start reading and I will update you when I have read it. So Be My Boo was a bit of a bust. I got about 25% of the way in and I was just bored. And there was something about the writing style. I can't quite put my finger on what it was that I didn't particularly like about it. There was a prologue and I really liked the prologue because the prologue was told from the perspective of a ghost. But then the rest of the book is told in the perspective of, well, so far the male character. I mean, I don't really like romances told by a third person omnipresent narrator, but maybe one told by a ghost would be fun. And that means I am going to be reading A Little Wicked by Morticia Storm Onyx, which is a demon summoning book. It's 56 pages. Hopefully this one will be better than the last one. So this might be the strangest book that I have read so far today. And that's because we go from, hang on, let's go back to the beginning. So Luna and her best friend are trying to summon a demon. They accidentally summon a demon. His name is Damien and he turns up at the door and he's the half demon. And when I say Damien is a cheeky bugger, that's what he is. And sorry, that's probably going to be a really Australian term. But anyway, he's very cheeky, mischievous, kind of just adorable demon. He just inserts himself into Luna's life because they're soulmates. And so the chapters, for the most part, are actually fairly short and he just hangs around and is just getting under her skin. And between the end of one chapter where they've kissed and the start of the next chapter, she's pregnant. And like, to me, that's part of I just can't wrap my head around, like, when did they have sex? Like, it's never said anywhere that that's what happens. It's just implied. This is closed door, obviously. It's so closed door that they don't even talk about it, which would normally bother me. And it took me a while to go back and forth just to wrap my head around that's what actually happened. Like, there was nothing in between those two things. That said, there are some of the funniest lines in this book because Luna then freaks out that she's having a demon baby. She's convinced that the baby is going to be born with horns or a tail or breathing fire. And so she freaks out about every little thing and it just keeps coming up, and Damien is just very joking about it until she goes into labor and then he panics. And for whatever reason, I find that utterly adorable. It should possibly have a lower rating from me, but I'm putting it at about a 3 just because it made me laugh. Like, it actually genuinely made me laugh. Did it do any of the things that I like in a romance? No. Would this have been an awesome, didn't even have to be super steamy, but an open door romance with probably a little bit more development? Yeah, absolutely. I really liked the banter between these two characters. So I'm very conflicted. I'm very conflicted because it made me laugh. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So I don't have any more holiday novellas and I'm not planning on picking any more up. It's only 2 o'clock. I've done most things on my list and I really don't feel like writing reviews at the moment, so I think I might just read. I might go back to that series that I started. So the series is the linear tactical series by Janie Crouch, which you will not have heard me talk about at all by the time this video goes up because it will be in next week's wrap up. This was the last book that I had to read for my Rare TBR, so spoiler alert, I have completed my Rare TBR. This was probably one of the best books that I read that I picked up at Rare and I got it for free. So this is a romantic suspense series about some former soldiers who have opened up their own business and they basically run tactical training for government agencies and then they also run survival training for civilians. I really enjoyed the first book, and because I had the first book, there was a little code inside for the first 3 books in the series as an ebook. So maybe I'll read book 2 because I want to keep reading. I just don't want to read more holiday novellas. All right, this is finished loading. So let's go and see what book 2 is called. Okay, it's called Eagle. So all of the books are named after the code names of the male protagonists. So that's the cover. I'll put the colour one on the screen. So the male protagonist in the first book is the leader of the group, the guy that sort of brought everyone together to create Linear Tactical. This is about Finn, who's kind of the second in command. He's a single dad. I'm pretty sure this is maybe a second chance romance because there was a character that turned up in the first book to talk to Finn. Her name is Charlotte, and there is some kind of history there because he absolutely freaked out on her. So it's some kind of undercover mission. But I will update you because, yeah, let's go from holiday romances to a romantic suspense story. If anyone needed an insight into my brain and how it works, this is how it works. So I finished reading Eagle, and I must be in a romantic suspense mood, or it's that I'm always in a romantic suspense mood. I just don't read them as often as I probably should, because I'm just going to go into the next book now, which is Shamrock, which is the third main male character that we've met so far, Aiden's story. And it seems like these, well, at least the first 3 books, it's kind of a 3-book arc. So Eagle is, I think I mentioned, it's Finn and Charlotte's story. It's a second chance romance. They were together in high school, but she married someone else, and everyone in town thinks that she married this someone else for money. And so she's basically persona non grata in town. But she's back, and Finn realizes pretty quickly that something is not quite right. And he finds out that she's working as a bartender in a strip club, and that she's also trying to tutor, and she's much thinner than she was before, and she's exhausted. I mean, it's a romantic suspense, so she gets kidnapped and assaulted and tortured and all sorts of things. What I will say, though, that I'm really enjoying about the series is, even though the female protagonists have some kind of history that's trauma-based, they're all very strong characters, and Charlotte even more so than the female protagonist in the first book, and I really like that. So it's just a fun dynamic, and I'm just I've always been an action movie person, so romantic suspense done in this way just ticks the boxes for me. So, well, Shamrock, the third book, is actually going to be a continuation of this one, because there is an undercover plot line that Aiden is involved in, that Finn is only tangentially involved in, and that Charlotte finds herself involved in Eagle, but is continuing into the third book. So I'm just going to read it, because why not? It's only 4 o'clock. I can read another book before I do dinner, and then just sit on the couch and probably rewatch 911 tonight. So yeah, as I said, welcome to my brain. This is how I function sometimes. I'm really glad I just set this day aside to do nothing and read. I got other things done too, so I mean, it's not like I haven't done anything else. All right, so I just finished Shamrock. It's really interesting because these books are just under 300 pages, so they take me about 2 and a bit hours to read, because I had a shower in between. So I've started this book at 4:30, I want to say, and it's 7 o'clock now. So they don't take long. They're really fast paced. I think I said at the start, I like them because the female protagonists are really, really strong characters. And in this case, Violet is a woman who at the start of the book has been kidnapped and has basically been, you know, kept kind of like a sex trafficking ring. And so she's been physically and sexually assaulted. She hasn't been raped, but she's been sexually assaulted. And Aiden, who is the male protagonist, meets her while he's undercover, and he recognizes that she is in trouble, that she's not there of her own volition, and it kills him the first time that he actually can't get her out of that situation at the time. And it's not until 3 days later that he's able to find her again and set in motion the plan to save her. And it turns out that Aiden and Linear Tactical have connections to her brother, who is a former SEAL. And so the first sort of part of the book is her rescue, and then her journey to recovery. And, you know, she's very, very intelligent and has decided to leave her brother's tech company to open a bakery, because it's been a passion that she's been sort of been cultivating in the background. And she moves to the small town where Linear Tactical is, and she falls for Aiden, but he's kind of reluctant to get into a relationship with her because he has seen her at her worst, and he doesn't want her to have regrets or associate him with what she went through. And like, their journey is really interesting in terms of how they come together and how they reconcile how they met with who they are. And they're a great couple because they're both very strong, intelligent people, and, you know, they find ways to make what's going on work. And we finally get sort of the reveal of who the big bad is that we've been finding out about over the last 2 books and all of that sort of stuff. The thing I like so much about series like this is how well all the books set up the next book. And this one does the setup for Violet's brother Gabe, and a woman who we met in the first book, Jordan, who is a convicted felon. She went to prison because she was convicted of manslaughter because she, at 18 years old, had fallen asleep at the wheel and was involved in a car accident that killed a woman and a child, and that happens to be the male protagonist, Zach, from the first book. again, I haven't talked about this book in this video because that's going to be in next week's wrap up. Like, it was his wife and his child that she killed. She's been released from prison, and all the female protagonists in the series have been really good because Zach has forgiven her because it was an accident. She wasn't intending to do it. She wasn't under the influence of anything. She fell asleep at the wheel, which, you know, is not okay, but it could happen to people. So Zach has moved on. All of the other female protagonists that we've met in the series are trying to include her and trying to help her fit back into the town, while everyone else in the town is basically persecuting her. And so in Shamrock, Violet had given Jordan a job at the bakery, and Jordan had just asked to work out the back because she knows how people in the town react, and she didn't want Violet's bakery to, you know, not be a success because she'd hired Jordan. And then the bakery is attacked and Jordan is injured as a result of that, and Violet and Jordan are in the hospital, and Violet is treated straight away and Jordan is not. Annie, who's the protagonist from the first book, is the head of the ER, or the head doctor in the ER, comes in and she finds out that she hasn't been treated. She has burns and she has not been given any pain medication, and she is livid, and she lets loose on the hospital staff, rightly so, because anyone who goes into hospital deserves treatment. But also Gabe, Violet's brother, who has had reservations about Jordan because he knows that she has been convicted of a crime. He even begins to see just how unfair it is that this woman has been treated, all because she was the cause of something terrible that happened, and because her father 10 years ago had caused something to happen in town. And so, like, the setup for that is really good. Like, I just want to read it right now. Like, I really do. But I'm going to wrap up this vlog here because I need to go make some dinner. This has been an excellent day, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me on my lazy reading day. In the comments, I'd love to know if you've read any of these books or if you're planning on picking any of them up. Otherwise, I hope that you have a really wonderful Halloween, because this video is going up on Halloween Australian time, so it'll be just about Halloween time for most people in the world. I hope you have a great time if you celebrate, and I will be back in a couple of days with my reset video, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.